You are watching Long Beach Local News.
This is Melissa McGinnis with Long Beach Local News. We're visiting with the city auditor today, Laura Doud. We're in her office, which is a special treat. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Melissa.
Nice to see you.
You too.
So I'm so excited to talk about the contract administration audit, which just came out last month. I think it's a really exciting audit to discuss, and actually probably the most important one I've come across.
Yes, it is. The city does a lot of work through contracts, and so we felt this was important to look at as well.
Not only does the city do a lot of work through contracts, but I can imagine that that's going to even become more extensive with all of the development and the infrastructure that's happening in the city, that they're going to be even doing more services with contracts.
Yes, for sure. And we will continue to monitor this and review this, but we do want to send a message out there that for those who have contracts with the city, the vendors who have contracts with the city, and for the staff who oversee the contracts, that we want to make sure that the city is properly managing them and that the city is receiving the goods and the services that it's paying for.
Okay, well, just for an example, so you can understand the scope of how important this audit is, in 2015, the city spent over $574 million on contracts. That's just in 1 year. So Laura Doud, understanding the importance of that, handpicked, cherry-picked, what, nine contracts over various different areas. So you were able to kind of get a slice of what the city's doing in so many different areas. 9 different contracts where you reviewed and audited these contracts, and you found some risks, some issues.
Yes, we did. Right. And just backing up a second, in years 2012 through 2016, we reviewed a number of city contracts, including the airport, trash haulers, the job order contracting with Public Works, Parks and Recs maintenance. And in each of those contracted audits that we looked at, we did identify a pattern of risks where the terms and conditions weren't always being followed. So in the year 2016, we decided to randomly sample 9 different contracts throughout different departments throughout the city, and in each of those contracts that we looked at, the same problems did exist. And so we put this summary audit report together to summarize all of the findings that we identified, so that going forward, we can better enforce city contracts.
Right, because it has to be somewhat frustrating if you've been auditing contracts since 2012 and you haven't seen too much improvement, that now this audit really spells out this is exactly what the risks are and how to basically overcome that.
Yes.
Tell us some of the issues. I'd like to call them maybe loopholes. What's happening?
Yes, it is a widespread issue, as you stated. And I think one thing is we found there's sort of a lax oversight for a couple of reasons. There isn't a contract management system database so that those employees who are over the city contracts could better manage the key terms and conditions and renewals, so they would know exactly when a contract was going to be expiring so that they can plan for it. There wasn't that sort of technology available. Also, those staff members who are over contracts, normally, it's a big city with a lot of different departments, such as the parks and the health department and so forth. And the people over those departments are specialists in health at the healthcare department, physicians, and at the parks departments, fitness instructors, not so much contract finance with a finance background. So,
right.
This was a problem that there really wasn't enough training for those overseeing the contracts. So I think the 2 main issues we found was there wasn't a central database for the key terms available and the training available. So those were the 2 kind of big issues we found.
That is a big issue. We're such a tech-forward city, and we spend so much on contracts. You think that that's something that obviously needs to go in place as an aggregating system to see, expiring. And also, I read that some of the services might not have even been performed, or there was a lack in oversight of actually making sure that these services were actually rendered.
Right. There was a limited verification that the work that was being paid for had actually been performed, and that the goods that the city had paid for had actually been received. So if the contracts are not being enforced, they're really not worth the paper they're written on.
Right.
So, I think the main message too we wanted to get out was we need to ensure that these contracts are being properly enforced, that every tax dollar saved can be used for other higher priorities throughout the city, such as public safety and street maintenance and parks and those things, that we need to make sure that we are paying, that every dollar is being accounted for, and that we're paying for only those things that we're receiving.
This is why Laura Doud is your watchdog, and your tax dollars go to great service here at her office, literally looking after your money and making sure that the budget is appropriate. I mean, like you're saying, public safety is such a big issue, yet we're kind of not monitoring some of these contracts where there could be money moved over to public safety. So we thank you for all of that work. And in fact, if anybody wants to take a look at this study, it's at cityauditorlauradoud.com. It's a great read, and it provides just tremendous insight into how the city functions. I love at the end the letter from the city manager.
Yes.
He took your recommendations very seriously this time, didn't he?
Yes, and we really appreciate that they took this issue to heart and made it a priority and an important issue. They hired a consultant to come in to train city staff to ensure that these contracts are being properly monitored, they are being enforced. The training is now taking place currently. So we have greater confidence that moving forward things will be better. And as an auditor, it still is our role to continue to monitor to ensure that it is. Because as you opened up with this morning, there's a lot of construction and a lot of contracts taking place in the city, and we will be vigilant to ensure that it is being enforced.
You absolutely will. What about the technology aspect? Are they going to build the infrastructure for that?
Yes, and the city is currently undergoing a new financial management system citywide, and the city manager has indicated that this contract monitoring system will be included in that new system, so we're very pleased with that as well.
Well, congratulations. Great work as always coming out of your office. We thank you so much. Again, check out this report. It's really an great, fun read.
Oh,
I enjoyed it very much. We look forward to your next audit. What are you working on now?
Well, we have a lot of things in the work. We're looking at the animal care services audit, and we're looking at the P-bids. We also have the fire department's inventory audit. So those are 3 audits that are coming up shortly. I'll be happy to speak to you when it's completed.
We look forward to that. And also, if you have any tips for this office, you may call the office directly, and also you have an app and a tip line?
Yes, we do. And it's our tip line, our fraud hotline tip line is 1-888-FRAUD-07. And we really encourage you to call if you have any tips of fraud, waste, or abuse with the city. There's zero tolerance for that. And again, every tax dollar we can save can be used for greater priorities, and there is no tolerance for this kind of waste. And we need the eyes and ears of the public to call us, because we really can't be at all places at all times. And
you mentioned you get some of your best tips through that hotline.
Yes, we do.
So don't be hesitant to call, even if you're not sure if it's fraud or abuse. At least call, leave a message. Someone will get back to you. It's taken very seriously.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Laura. I can brag a little bit about you. You just finished the Boston Marathon.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. You do awesome in all areas of your life. Again, reach out to Laura Doud if you suspect any fraud, and thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Long Beach Local News.